Everyone get ready to cry because the Countstein bosses have returned with the return of Deuce's Lost Chapter. Along with Deuce returning with her level 70 EX Plus release, Rework and Awakening, we also are getting Ace's EX Plus release alongside of it. So let's go ahead and talk about these two really quickly. I just want to make a quick mention before we continue on with these videos. So I have stated plenty of times in the past that regardless of how a character is, every character is just about viable for the Chaos Era when they have EX+. Every character is usable. You can find a way to use every character, even characters who have been power crept into all hell, aka the early Chaos characters that we're getting right now. In the future, they can still be used even in a later time, just as long as you use them and buff them up properly. So when we're talking about the importance of a character, because every character is important in just about their own right, especially since we're going to be getting FEOD, which is basically a Heretic's Gauntlet that that the JP version has. Well, we will be receiving that soon. We're going to need diverse team comps because there are going to be resistances and different things that are going to be a really big pain in the ass to handle on the global side. It's a pain in the ass to handle on the JP side too, but when it first gets started, since we're going to have a smaller cast, it's a little harder to pick and choose. So every character is pretty much just important in their own rights. The purpose of these videos, talking about how important a character is just how can they benefit you and how can they benefit your party and what they offer. So going forward, when I'm going to be talking about the importance of a character, I will be talking about the importance of a character in situations where they can be needed. So that's going to be very, very prevalent, especially with this one. That's why I wanted to start and make this very clear for this particular video, especially with these two characters. So going forward, that's how we will be referring to the character's importance going forward, since every character is important in their own way and in their own right. So let's go ahead and start with Ace, since Ace is the side EX Awakening. So Ace did not get a rework. Ace already has a rework and a level 70. All Ace got was an EX Plus. And basically all his EX Plus gives him is more damage, just to pile on top of all the damage that he already does already. So in a summary short, his EX Plus gives him a means of stacking Suzaku's trump card, which is his frame buff. He starts off the quest with 2 stacks of Suzaku's trump card, and he does more hits, and he gets more damage, and he gets more overflow. Bam! That's it. That's pretty much it. He gets the brave hit increases and the overflow increases at 3 out of 3. 2 out of 3 is where Suzaku's trump card gets start at the beginning, and when you EX plus it, 0 out of 3 is where he can start stacking it while using his jackpot shot, which is the EX. So simple enough, right? Very, very simple, very easy. So how does that improve Ace? It just makes him hit harder, pretty much. It doesn't do anything it doesn't do really anything much for his skills. The only thing that it helps him really do is just help him get set up faster. Ace has a problem where he has, much like any other character with stacking mechanic, he takes a while to set up, and compared to other characters with stacking mechanics, he takes quite a bit longer. The fact that his EX now stacks his frame buff, and he starts off with 2 stacks of his frame buff, is really important for getting him up and going and getting the damage out there that you need, and you don't have to bother wasting a turn in the very beginning with the weaker versions of his skills as at 2 out of 3. So important for the Chaos Era. As mentioned before, every character is important in their own rights, but what Ace brings to the table is super crazy high magic DPS. So here's the thing: if you are not a diehard Ace fan, and you don't already have his EX weapon from previous times that his EX has come around, to be quite honest, Ace literally gets power crept into oblivion this week. Unfortunately, and this month, this next month coming up, unfortunately, we're getting a bunch of crazy strong magic DPS that just do more than Ace. Ace is just straight damage, while we're going to be getting characters like Ultimecia. We're going to be getting characters like the Emperor, who just do the amount of damage Ace does, but with better things to benefit the party and to benefit your turn count specifically, and for additional damage. Now, while, don't get me wrong, Ace is an incredible unit in his own right, and he hits crazy high numbers. If you don't already, I'm just going to say, if you don't already have his EX, there's no point in chasing it. Save your stuff for what's coming. If you have him built up, and you want to EX plus him, 2 out of 3 is really where you want to stop. So important. Now, see, here's the thing. I know what I said before. I'll be talking about how they can benefit your party, and if you are missing a high magic DPS, you can benefit from Ace. But the thing is as mentioned before, we are literally getting magical DPS units that will shut Ace down fairly soon. Ultimecia is coming literally this week. We're going to be getting Emperor sometime next month. Those 2 characters alone are practically all you need in the form of magic DPS, and that's the thing. Unfortunately, Ace's EX Plus does not shine for too long, and he gets power crept fairly quickly. But if you have him built, and you do want to build him, he will serve you fairly well. He does a lot of damage, and he does damage well. He has very good overflow amounts, and he just hits stupid hard. That's yeah. His EX Plus is nice, and it allows him to set up a lot quicker. So important for the Chaos era. Not really important for your team setups. Not really. But if you have him, he'll shine. He'll do the job. Just know that he will be power crept immediately, but he will still be able to perform and do what he needs to do. Up next, Deuce. So what Deuce got was a level 70 EX release and awakening with a rework. Long story short, pretty much what Deuce got with her rework is her note no longer gets broken when she gets broken, which is super nice. It helps her out a ton. Just increased stuff to her concerto, which is her support skill, and increased damage potencies for her second skill, as well as increasing the stuff for her stacking frame buff, and making her brave attack and HP attack heal and do more damage depending on the amount of stacks that she has. Her brave attack specifically, her HP attack does not get any additional benefit depending on the stacks, only her brave attack. Her EX is at base is a 4-hit magical AoE damage. That does split damage, so it splits the damage evenly amongst targets. It raises everyone's brave before the hits and afterwards, depending on the damage that she does. I believe it's just before. Could be wrong. Anyway, what her EX Plus gives her, however, just summarizing, just like we did before, increased brave hits, more damage. It gives her note right at the start, which is really nice. That is very good to have. As well as, and this is the really good part, really good thing, it increases everyone's overflow. This is the base. I should have mentioned this is the base. It increases everyone's overflow by 20%. That's awesome. That is really awesome, especially since it is given off as an aura in the frame buff that she gets from that. And at max, 3 out of 3, she gets more brave hits. The brave heal that she supplies the party can now overflow the party up to 150%. So the brave heal overflows the party to 150%, while the damage, while the brave overflow, it's so weird to talk like this. While the brave overflow that the hits give can go up to 200% for her EX. So it can hit pretty hard, and it has a crazy good battery built into it. Her C65 increases the amount of damage that magic attack damage by 10%, and her C70 and her Bloomstone just further enhance that. So that sounds really nice, does it not? The thing is it sounds really nice on paper. The thing with Deuce is is a very situational character. And what I mean by that is that if you notice, especially when she was around beforehand, it doesn't change at all this time. She only buffs magic DPS. So she offers no support whatsoever to any physical DPS units that you, or even ranged physical DPS units that you have. So you have to make sure that you are bringing her alongside magic DPS. But the problem with that is we're going to be plenty of bosses in the future are going to be resistant to magic. They'll have specific magic resistances, as well as specific element resistances that if the magic DPS in your party does, which I know we have a lot of non-elemental non-elemental magic DPS, but we do have a few elemental magic DPS. If that's really the only kind of characters that you have, they're going to be hindered as well, and you're going to have no real use for Deuce. That's the problem. Deuce only buffs magic attacks, so it already limits the team that you can bring her on in the first place. And if any boss that we fight in the future resists magic in any way, you could just count Deuce out. So honestly, like, what Ace and Deuce got for upgrades are actually really good. It is unfortunate, though, however, that they are released at the time that they're being released, because Ultimate is literally next month. And to be quite honest, if you have Cryo built up, Deuce just honestly, she just doesn't do it. While she has crazy overflow on her EX, the fact that it's split damage does hurt it a lot. Her second skill, still only attacks one enemy. Regardless of how high it goes, regardless of how high it hits, it gets increased brave hits to 5, which is really nice. But other than that, it's still not doing crazy amount. And I believe it's her Fortissimo frame buff. I forget which one she gets that off of. I'm pretty sure it's her EX. It doesn't, no, her second skill, sorry. She gets that off of her second skill, and it doesn't last long, so you do have to spam skills, and that does not help with her longevity, and the fact that she has pretty weak longevity as is already. Deuce she doesn't bring much to the table, and what she brings to the table is very situational. If you are a diehard Deuce fan, you can find uses out of her. The unfortunate thing is Deuce is another heavy investment. If you want to use her by any means, you do have to max EX plus her. You do have to get the 3 out of 3. That is 100% an absolute must. You have to have the 3 out of 3, or there's really no point running her. She won't warrant running on your team all that much. So make sure you're getting that 3 out of 3 to build up for Deuce. So important for the Chaos era, not really, unfortunately. Important for team setups, she can be, especially if you have a lot of magic DPS units that you have built up, or if you're gunning for Ultimate and the Emperor. She will support those characters. And she will support them well. But again, her usability falls off if any boss resists magic by any means, and we will be seeing magic resistance fairly often in the future, especially in FEOD. So if you are not a Deuce fan and you're considering pulling on this banner, honestly, I would hold off. There's really no point in pulling with this banner, especially since we have Ultimate coming this week. If you have Cryo built up, Cryo will do what Deuce can do, and Cryo is actually a much more usable character, considering that she buffs. While yes, she'll still have the same problem where she's all magic DPS, so she'll have to sit out on magic resistant fights, but she does still support the party with just base attack up, so she does support physical damage and magical damage at the same time. So unfortunately, I believe this banner is a hard pass. While both Ace and Deuce are great in their own rights, they're not important by any means. They're not characters that you have to drop all your gems for to scoop up and pick up. They got great upgrades, yes, but unfortunately Deuce is more situational than even Ace is, and Ace is just, unfortunately, my boy Ace, he's just gonna be outclassed literally this week by Ultimate and the Emperor following short behind. So while not the most important characters for the Chaos era, they do offer great usability, and you can get your uses out of them. Just Ultimate and Emperor, man, they're just too much. They just outclass a lot of magic DPS that we have in the early Chaos era, and Ultimate even in the late Chaos era, she's still busted. But anyway, it's unfortunate that I have to get the verdict on these two like I did, because I do like them. I didn't really play much of Type 0, but I did, fool around with like some cutscenes and stuff, just to like see what it was about, and seeing what I saw from these two characters. I like them a lot, but unfortunately they just don't do enough to warrant giving them a better verdict. So that'll do it for this video, guys. The fan chaos is coming, I promise. I find this video a little more important, and I got caught up doing some other things and putting together a different video, which if you have not checked out, please go check out my Dark Souls video that I just put up. It is a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun making it. But the fan chaos, it's coming, guys. I promise it's coming. I'll get it out, and yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.